make sure to press that like, share, and subscribe button to, get updated for our future episodes. I'm your girl, Naomi Wimboy. I got my girl Fresha here at the end. And of course, Big Pin. And we got a special guest in the building. I know most of y'all know him already. So I'm going to let Fresha introduce him. It is Collo. Yay, Collo.
So we're so thrilled to have you. We see greatness when we see you. You know?
Greatness.
Yeah,
greatness when we see you.
Yes,
Well,
because he's done so much.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets enough credit for all the stuff he's done. Like in terms of, finding artists, developing them, apart from just being a very good rapper, but just, the transition of going from that to now an evangelist is what you'd like people to know you for. So, but because we're on Bigpins Radius, we want you to tell us how you got to meet Bigpin.
How I got to meet Bigpin. I got to meet Bigpin, I think it must have been 2002, perhaps. 2002, 2003.
Yeah.
Perhaps, somewhere there. And I'd heard of him. And of course I met him courtesy of the late Isa Mari. And I remember going to the studios at Ogopa DJ Studios in South B. And there was a time I actually decided to throw them lunch. I asked them, do you guys want lunch? Even Isa, and they were like, yeah. So I told them, tuishie. So these guys, I think they were expecting us to go to, then there was a restaurant called Nando's. Nando's Gani. Dondo chapati kwa kibanda. So yeah, man. And we got to hang out severally.
Here South B, isn't it?
Yes. Even in South C, I remember we used to hang out.
Were you, at that time, you were on the same label and you were big at that time?
Yes. Us guys were famous from day one. Yeah, man. So yeah, that's how I got to know Bigpin. Yes, in the early 2000s.
Nice.
Yes.
Let me show you
Is that
how.
the same story you have?
This is my like my version. So the first time I hear of them, kleptomaniaxs. So as we are we were the last people to enter Ogopa. Then it was them. So they were sort of like the youngest. You get. So it was them, then us, then now Monsky, and now the rest of the people. You get. So I'd never met them, but I used to hear like, hey, this guy is called Klepto. You get. So I had the songs at first. I'm like, yeah, but they never hear. I remember the first time they're never available because they're in school then. So you were
in school at Nairobi School.
Nairobi School. So I remember meeting Roba first. Roba is part of now Klepto. So I remember Collo coming. This guy was very, very outspoken. Remember, so it's like, hey, this guy is interesting. He has an interesting like demeanor, with him. And apparently, but apparently Collo, we knew each other even a bit earlier because of your mom's shop.
Yes.
In Nairobi West, and my mom came and bought furniture from your mom's shop in Nairobi West. We had seen each other then, but later on, we came to connect as artists. Now it's when I was like, yeah, I remember this face is familiar. Like I know this person, but it wasn't like we didn't know each other. Just like this was that shop we used to buy like our furniture in. So exactly. Imagine. So that's like a recollection of how I can make it, like how I remember then. So from then I was like, this guy is a very interesting guy. He's small. Then of course we had maybe around I think when he came out, I remember now he started really hanging out more was the time now we started doing like the events, like the Ogopa shows. But I remember the first Ogopa show, you guys didn't do the first one. I remember the real first one we didn't do it because there was something about school and it was sponsored by Benson and Hedges.
Oh,
and
the show that I had to pay to get into the show, and my song was on the album.
Yes, I remember.
I paid to get into my own show.
How come that used to happen a lot back in the day? Like you had to pay to get into your own,
own show, man.
Because you don't know. Like there's no face. You don't know.
Like when you first met Collo, because Collo, the first time I met him, like you had so much energy. You come off as a bit intimidating. I won't even lie. Were you intimidated? Were you intimidated as an artist?
Always intimidating. Always.
Like, man, I want to know this guy.
But in a good way. It's an interesting
He's an
way.
observer.
Exactly. And the thing about how I perceive his thinking is, no matter what, I mean, anything which she will tell you, whether you agree with it or not,
it's normally right.
It's factual. It's not a story of, it's not a dangling decision. It's just telling you this is how it is and it's plain. And it's, it's if you're someone who wants to listen, you listen. But it's very, he's a clear person.
Yeah, he's very clear. And that's why even in the group, you can, in groups, sometimes there's like a weak link, but in their group there was like no weak link.
Everyone
was on fire. But like especially, so how did you guys go like without well, you were friends, yeah? But so how did you in the group dynamic, like was there like times like, okay, no, May can do this better, you do this better, or you just used to click? You just used to click.
Oh well, in the group Kleptomaniaxs.
In the group Kleptomaniaxs.
Nyash and I had met prior. We met, I think, in 94 or 95. So we grew up in the same hood. I was that guy who used to ride bikes to the other side of the estate when our parents were telling us, usipite hapa, Niza nilikuwa napita. We used to exchange video games, we'd play video games together, and then I would see him in Nairobi school. When I joined Nairobi school, I'm like, oh, so this guy is also in this school. Then that's when I met Roba. So by the time we were forming the group, we had like designated departments within the same, like this guy would handle A, B, C, D, this guy would handle A, B, C, D, and yeah.
Oh, for real?
We got things going, yeah.
That's
we had a working ethic.
So from the start, it was clear this is your department.
This
is like before like Mkomengiogopa.
Yes. So like I'm the one who reached out to the producer because me, I was a vocal guy. So I would make the calls. I was like playing manager then before we actually got a manager. Yes.
So it's you who made the phone call to Luki?
Yes. I'm the one who called Lucas.
Big kids.
Yes. And it was courtesy of my junior achievement teacher. There was a mentor who used to come to Nairobi school. He was called Kevin. He used to work at BBC.
Wow.
And I told him that, we're interested in recording music. And he told me, he asked me which producers do you want to work with, and I told him at that time I wanted to work with the best. So he said, I'll try and fish you
the numbers.
Yeah. So and I had a phone in school then.
Wow. And in boarding school,
yes.
He was boarding.
Yes.
So he started hustling like
me, I was that guy, man.
On the streets.
Yeah.
Anything,
Paka Leo. To date, man. Still on it.
And the prefects, nobody was coming to confiscate it?
Now, me have a way with
people.
Yeah. It's favor.
Smooth.
It's favor.
Smooth.
Favor.
You had favor from the word.
Yes.
And how was the writing done? Because you guys have bars. Like there's no. That's what I'm saying. Like there's no weak link in your group. So who used to do most of your? Everybody used to write their own individual parts.
Well,
Kleptomaniaxs.
The main composer of most of our songs was Roba.
Oh.
Because he's the one who came up with the concept of klepto. And he's to date, I still say he's one of the most brilliant businessmen I've ever seen.
Wow.
So he came up with a group. He used to come up with the songs, and at that time there was a huge influence of, factual rap music.
Yeah.
Because if you think of hip hop
music,
and the culture of hip hop in Africa, it comes back to East Africa, narrows down to Kenya, and the whole narrative of civil rights going on. So that was really huge, especially with rappers from Dandora So we would listen and consume to that music, and you know, we also wanted to weigh in to the whole conversation. So Roba used to be the main. He would come and tell us, guys, I want us to rap about this.
Then you find lyrics around
So
it.
we'd just build around that. So Roba was the main composer.
And now when you met these guys, were you thinking like, we're way better,
No, interestingly, you know, at that time everyone was rapping facts. Like there was no deviating into any other topic. That was the beauty about the rappers then. So at the point, media was also taking a different shape, and you know, this was a transition of seeing the former president, late President Moi, transitioning, and Mwai Kibaki coming into power. Guys wanted to also, you know,
contribute to the conversation.
Yes, and so it changed. That changed, and then for some strange reason, the conversation just went. So guys wanted to go to the club, man. Guys wanted to have a good time, because at the same time the political arena it was very toxic, should I say. And so in as much as the rappers were trying to convey that message,
there was
guys were done.
Listening.
Guys were done. Guys
just wanted to party.
Just happiness.
to get the mind off things.
And that's when now we ask guys like, now that sound like clicks now perfectly, because now we got the perfect like space.
Yes,
you know.
and sound also, you know. So, yeah.
Hey, that was interesting.
So you guys have done some shows together. Yes. Back in the day,
Yes.
brother of the show business. Like, do you tell us something? Tell us a story. Give us a story, a recollection. Anything funny, happy, whatever. What's a good memory you guys have of one of your shows?
We have many.
Besides you having to pay to get in, y'all.
Okay, me the one I think I can try and remember was we had gone to Costo. We had gone to Coast for I can't remember which gig it was. There were so many, but this one, it was he had gone with Ulopa. It was, funny enough, it was Issa's memorial show. It was being done in Coast. Remember? 2000 and I can't remember when. And I remember we were in the bus. So we went with the bus, all of us.
2010.
Is it 2010?
Yes.
It was 2010. When we were going on a bus together. And I remember that's the time you had started sort of having like you started writing. I think you had done the Kamula song. When did you do the song with Kamula?
We recorded the Camp Muller song in
like
2009, but it was
before.
published in 2011.
But I remember you played it.
Yes.
We were playing first on the trip, and you're telling me how you want to be like to start writing for like people. You know, to me that was news. Like, hey, people can write for people, and you know, like everyone just writes for themselves. It's like, yeah, me I want to write for other people, and that was interesting to me because I was like, how do you that shift, which is something which I feel like you've always had. You've always had like you're extremely creative. Like extremely,
Stop
like
it.
not true. Because how you think,
No, but
you know,
it's
just
true.
how you write. You know, a lot
Hallelujah, man.
Do you know?
Yes.
How many people, even Kina Christophe, Kina, who people used to want to write like Collo.
Yeah.
You get that was just, and that was just. So there's just a
Like
creative
he
demeanor
was-
which you had. So even that writing, that to me that was like a mind blowing set. I was like, oh, you're writing for other people.
And then
That's
a
it's
lot
like
of-
hearing you with someone else, which is already like you already given yourself out to you know.
Yes,
So
Which
that
a
was
lot
a
of
very
people are
big.
doing right now, but back in the day,
Back in the-
a
yeah.
lot of people
Yeah.
were selfish because they
Yeah.
didn't want to
They
write for
didn't
others
want
because
to
they didn't
write.
want them to have a better song
Or the
some
same
people didn't,
flow.
But hey, that's where
Yeah.
the money was at.
Yeah, true, at the end of the day.
Yeah, they didn't want people to have the same. And how did you go? Like you were in high school, and you're saying you had a phone. So how did you used to do gigs? Like when if there was a gig and you were still in high school, because you were in boarding, were you let to go, or you used to miss most of the gigs? How was it like navigating that?
Actually, while in high school, we did a couple of gigs, but mostly the gigs at that time were around variety shows, like school shows, would go to different schools, like Starehe had a concert, or State House Girls had their variety show, or St. George's Girls. So we would go to do gigs in schools. That's how it would kick off. But then I remember when I was in Form 4, we had a gig in Kisumu. You know?
You were in Form 4 and you had a
Yes,
gig in Kisumu.
we had a gig in Kisumu. So most of the time I would just get a leave pass. Because even some of the prefects who were in school, especially the entertainment prefect, understood,
fans,
you know.
and were fans.
And they were fans already,
therefore, yeah.
including
Let a
some
nigga
teachers.
be, let
yeah,
a
man.
nigga handle his biz.
Let him go and do his thing, man, you know. But the one for Kisumu, what was interesting about that gig was that of all days, my mom had never come to visit
You in boarding
schools,
school?
yeah.
Oh my
But
God.
I think she knew that gig was going down, so she just wanted to find out whether I'll go for that gig. So I ended up in Kisumu. We did the show. Then when I came back, I was summoned to the. Luckily, the principal wasn't there, but the deputy was there. So it was a long conversation of because the paper was there saying kleptomaniacs give an electrifying concert
Oh
in
my
Kisumu.
gosh. Oh my. And your front and center.
Yeah, so it was those ones
God.
of. Did they even pay you?
That was your mom.
No, the deputy principal. That was like, yeah.
They ask
She didn't expect, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, yeah, we
yeah,
were paid.
Yeah.
How much were you paid at that time?
10 G's.
That
That was a lot of
lot.
money.
Lot of
man.
money that time.
So, yeah, we did concerts. The only one that I missed out on now when they did the concert, when there was a compilation concert in Mombasa also. I missed out on that because I was in school. But then we did a couple of concerts while still in school, and immediately after school it was just now
All
concerts
the way.
every other day. And you know, it gets to a point you're tired of concerts. You're like, not another show.
You guys used to lenga, you guys used to fill stars for gigs like,
Are you
what
serious?
time?
Yeah.
So just pay us that money. It's like, because there's no one else. It's like,
Are
oh,
you
they did me, yeah.
So like
Oh my
working at
gosh.
Agopa DJs together, did you guys actually work together? Like, did you guys write any music together?
Yeah, we
Did
did a
you-
couple of songs. We did
Even on our first album.
first album.
Yes, the first Klepto album, BigPin, came through.
Hey.
Sichimbiki.
Sichimbiki. And hey, ulibas, nasikia umechoka, nasikia.
Umetoka, nasikia yeah, hata nimesahau hiyo verse.
Ah, those are your bars, bro.
Man, shoot. Ay, 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 ay,
Has
ay,
that ever
ay,
happened
ay.
to you? Like at a concert, because you've written so much and worked with so many people, where you forget the bars of your own.
I wouldn't allow myself to forget, especially on stage.
Okay, especially on stage, yeah.
Especially on
on stage, you
stage.
can't, yeah. That's why you have to go for rehearsals.
Yeah, you guys wait.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you're
yeah,
true
yeah.
there.
Oh, so you're always
But you've
on
never
point.
forgotten, come think about it. Have you ever, never ever.
Eh, mimi unajua mimi ni king wa rap mazee. Siwezi sahau bars zangu, man. Sahau bars zangu aje.
Aje.
Mimi ndo king wa rap. Wa rap ikifika rap. Hata chance. Wacha hiyo story ishi.
Hakuna story. Hey, at least mimi ni Luo
feel
Flow
when he
Rap
says
King.
that? How do you feel
Mimi ni
when-
Luo Flow Rap King. Unaona vile nimejitoa. Collo ni king. Collo like this anyway. Even
Were you inspired by him? Is there things that
I was intrigued.
intrigue?
Yeah, I was always intrigued by like the trio. Always like, wow, you know, these guys. So I remember there's a time there was some beef which is going on with Kinawothes and the diss tracks going on. I remember now guys wanted now like to write like the diss songs back. So I remember us going to the producer Lucas telling him, "Where these guys have dissed us, manze. Let's reply." He's like, "Z, manze, you guys are not the right guys to reply."
Like it's
Yeah, your style or whatever. They're niggas for this shit, you know. So these guys were I remember when I had Twendele, Lucas played for me Twendele. You know how you feel like this guy is ours, like you want, it's like a team thing, it's like, yes, yeah, all of us, so
They
all of us,
delivered, huh?
like everyone, like like Dundee, it was just for yeah. I was gonna not doing anything, but here, you know, it was such. And I used to find them like really intriguing how they used to write. Of course, Nyash, him, and Roba. I was like, yeah. Even I remember when I was discussing them, it's like, hey, now I say. Like that sing rap, because K-Rap had it. K-Rap is sort of like the main whatever. So that sing rap and the lines were like, wow, these guys, man, they just like, but it was
and the creativity of the bars.
It's
that's
crazy.
The thing.
So it wasn't competition for where let's nini. It has never been.
It was never been.
It was always like wow. Hey,
did you hear what he said?
that's dope. I want to do that. You know, it's always been like that from a bit before.
So now you were with Kleptomaniaxs and then the group split. You guys went your separate ways. You were left with, you decided to what? Tell us your story after that. Because we know you're evangelist now. So what brought you from there to now here? Was it family? Was it what?
Well, it's all about expression. And from an early age, I grew up in a very musical family.
I was going to ask before you continue, were you born and raised in the church?
Nah.
Okay.
No. Church came later.
Okay.
So I grew up in a very musical family, and when I was, I think in class 4, that's when I was like, because I also have a talent in sketching. I used to love to sketch a lot. But then I decided to settle on music. And by the time I was listening to rappers like now from the Ukoflani side, that's when I said, hey, these guys are expressing themselves in Sheng. And you know, I wanted to, that's what I identified myself with. Sheng, and especially, you know, with Swahili and English being the main language of the nation, I was like, that's what I want to do. So, picking that up through the years that followed, you know, I was like, I want to perfect this and I want to literally do something with it. So at the point Klepto did what, you know, that season when the Klepto season was there, it was a great season. Then the group disbanded in 2007. When I came back, of course, there was so much going on because, one, there was a lack of mentors to take you from that next stage. And
all of you say the same thing.
Yes. And, you know, to be very honest, quite honest, it affected us mentally. There was a battle, you know, on just how to deal with everything. It was crazy. But what I'm thankful for is I was able to venture into other sectors within the creative cultural industry. So, you know, that's when I tried my hand in doing jingles, writing scripts, advertising, and big up to the late, what's his name? Eric Ndavi. The late Eric Ndavi held my hand.
It's Canada.
Even now, he was the first creative director, African, black creative director. So, you know, he would call me for jobs, you know. He would call me and just tell me, try your hand on this, try this out. So scripting, voicing, you know, so got a couple of gigs around that, voiced a couple of commercials back in the day while I was still trying to do my solo thing. And that's when I got to, you know, just jumping around studios, meeting different artists, met now the Camp Mullahs,
that's
you
how
know.
you got in,
Yeah, because I also used to hang out a lot with Guido Kibukosia, who's Marcus Pops, you know. So as we were hanging out with them, you know, I wanted to work on my solo project, but then there was still a connection with Roba. And that's when Roba introduced me now, because Roba is the one who introduced me to Ulopa, actually. I used to see Ulopa at Guido's house randomly just walking, but then I would like, who's this guy? So we'd work on the album Now Is the Time.
Neat.
Yes, which had songs like Psycho, Magnetic. We also have a song together on that called Tama. Yeah, man. So that was between 2009-10, going to that concert that we did. We spoke about earlier on, the Isa Memorial Concert. Then 2011 is when
Things changed.
things changed, because that's a point where now my wife and I got our daughter.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah. So that.
So it was having a child that opened your eyes to
Or slowed
wanting a
you
different
down.
lifestyle, or you just you wanted to change for your life.
For some strange reason at that point, man, just having a daughter, just having a kid coming up was like, hey, okay, something has to give.
Yeah, you have to be more
Yeah,
responsible.
you can't just be the same.
You have to change.
Because you don't
You
want
have
them to
to.
do what you're doing.
You just something had to give. So yeah, it was definitely a turnaround of something. There was a change, there was a shift at that point.
And what made you want to work with other groups? Like, was it just something you were interested in, or did you want to do more artist development?
Well, I had so many questions. I like that question. I had so many question marks with the concern of mentorship, because I asked myself a question when we were on tour, when we did the US tour in 2007, and I was like, okay, where are my heroes? Where are Kalamashaka today?
Yeah.
How come they are not as prosperous as the US culture celebrates and honors the next generation, you know?
Yeah.
When I came back, and that's when I came back to Kenya, I was like, okay, what's going on? How come
What's happening?
we are
There's
yet
that
to see some
confusion.
order within the sector itself, you know? Leave alone the creative industry in general, just the sector. I was like, okay, what's going on? How come things are not in order? So, you know, that's where
You found that space. You felt like you needed to fill that gap.
I felt I needed to do a lot more, and that's why I said, you know, let me see how I can stretch out my hand to especially the up and coming, and let me snatch as many as possible and be available to even just advise them where I can, you know.
Like what to do, how to go about
Exactly.
it, not
During
make
that, what's
mistakes
that
not
time
to make.
during like the post-election violence? Was that
2007. So this was after.
Were you around at that time?
So, check this out. That was the same year that we had just finished the US tour, and you know,
chose not to stay.
Nyash was like telling me, yo, your mom is here, your family is here, why don't you stay back in the
You know,
US?
it's so weird. Sorry, just continue. But in 2007 is when I made my first million. From the deal, remember the deal we did with you, with the for
The campaigns.
the campaigns.
Yes.
And that's
And you're in
another
a
thing.
good space.
So you guys were making tons of money, and that's what you talk about, because you talk about mental awareness. Like there's no mentor, but the mentor leads people to like some sort of lack of a mentor can lead you to depression if you are so high, and then you just.
Now that we're here, let's just say, especially when you think of the relationship between boys and men in this city, there's a lack of mentorship within any sphere of influence, whether it's in the political mountain. These young politicians lack mentors because most of the men are not well.
Themselves,
Is it that they don't want to see
no
the
one's
next
been
generation?
guided. No one's been guided.
Yeah, there's no mentor.
That's
You
what
see
he's
that
saying.
yeah.
It's lack of
Like you see, for
mentorship.
them in the
Like
music industry, there was no mentor.
Yes.
That's why
From
he
there-
was.
I get that, but I'm saying, why? Where are these mentors? Because these men are here, these women are here.
Yes.
So is it that they didn't want to take people under their
It has a lot to do with two things. This is, in my opinion, culture versus there's traditional culture that affects everything, and then there's the kingdom culture. And you see, those are two different things. remember, we're talking about generations. So even most of our folks, when they were coming into the city, guys were drawing in to chase the dream.
The dream,
You know what I mean?
Life,
exactly. And the city life is aligned to the system. You know,
work,
exactly.
make money.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, the whole conversation of wellness in general wasn't something that was really taken seriously, and for whatever reasons.
And as you said, tradition, because it's like you're a man, suck it up.
Yeah.
Whatever
Exactly.
you're going through,
You
just go through it.
Exactly.
Deal with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, it boils back to identity, even with the mentorship, and men sitting in that position of authority boils back to identity.
Yeah. Who you are.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you find your identity in culture, or where do you find your identity?
And you can only be a mentor if you really know yourself.
Already.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying, identity.
So this mentor you had mentioned, did you find him because sometimes it takes can you be my mentor? It takes you taking the initiative.
Yes.
And,
Yeah, it's a
following
two-way thing.
someone around,
Exactly.
it is.
Like, have you done this? Yeah.
It's not somebody
You
who's
also
gonna
have to be
okay, let me
willing
feed
to be
you this.
mentored.
Also.
Yeah, you can't be a
Yes.
mentor to somebody who's like, dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it always happens. Like
Yeah.
I think it's just like automatically just happens. If you like the mentors, I think in the traditional days were mostly like, for example, your dad, who's normally for a family is supposed to be like your mentor, uncles, So that as he's saying, there's that era which wasn't there. There's no one to. It's like you get to a place, you're just like, okay, now I'm here. Okay.
Yeah,
There are
what
some
next?
decisions you
just have to
really don't know. So you always it's
Yeah.
like you always like scratching the surface every time. Oh, so there's this. But if there's
Yes.
someone who could tell you, it's like, oh, you know what, this would have been better if we do this. There's a plan, because as you're young and you're whatever needs.
Yeah.
So that, as he's saying, really.
You guys had to suffer. You had to learn most of the things on your own, like in the industry. You had to do a lot.
Yo,
True,
let me
definitely.
tell you, that's a very scary space.
Yeah.
It's a very scary space because you're exposed to so much, and whatever the carnal things, or rather the physical things, teach you of the spiritual things. And so for me at that point, yes, I tried reaching out to mentors within different pillars of my wellness. When you talk of vocation, I had people like I mentioned to you, Eric Ndavi, people like even just people within industry. But then there was a gap, because if we're talking that the carnal things teach you of the spirit, I was in need of spiritual mentorship.
which was lacking.
And especially after I joined agency, that for me now was a confirmation, because I went into agency in 2012, a year after my daughter was born, and this was after prayers. I prayed. This was before I received salvation. I accepted salvation. I was like, God, man, I need a job. I can't raise this toy like this. So then I would get a spot in agency as a copywriter. And let's just say 2013 was it was one of the darkest years in my life.
Wow.
While I was in agency.
Not even when you were in the music, like klepto at your height.
Agency. And by the way, just FYI, advertising agency has played, this is just, I'm putting out this out there. Advertising agencies have contributed a lot to the detriment of the creative cultural industry in this nation, because
Really?
they've not focused on empowering and developing the creatives.
Oh, they stifle what they can't control.
Yeah.
If they can't control it, they don't want it.
Exactly. You see? So
That's very true. If they can't, they don't control it.
They don't want it.
Yeah, true.
So that was your darkest year. Why was it dark? Was it because you were not used to? You were used to running your own itinerary, your own agenda. Then here you are at agency, being told what to do, not really understanding why you're doing it, but you have to because you need a job. Yeah, So was that the reason why you felt lost?
Or you felt you were sacrificing
Your
as
passion,
an artist, your
yeah.
passion for this money.
Yeah.
There's that angle. However, I thought I'd run away from a defeated music sector. I was like,
it's
At
not.
least me, I've secured myself. These are the
They
so
can-
long
yeah.
fuckers.
They can handle themselves.
You know, yeah, like
Then sour.
Yeah,
let me
you
do.
know.
I had that phase. Remember even me on the
Yes,
agency. I had
yes,
that phase.
yes,
It's like,
yes.
hey, at least you know.
at least here I can jipanga. But
Yeah.
then the reality was when I was seeing then other markets, Nairobi is the business hub of East and Central Africa. When I was seeing Nigerians enjoying the market,
Yeah.
when I was seeing the
And
Tanzanians
thriving
coming in and
internationally.
thriving, I was like,
Yeah.
hey, okay,
What are we doing wrong?
what's going
happening?
on?
What's happening?
You know?
Wow.
And it was
And that can
crazy.
get depressing,
That
yeah?
is
Yeah, Kwanzaa.
crazy.
Then you have like you don't know what to do. Yes, like what's happening. You know.
You feel like
Your hands are tied.
cuffed, you're
Yeah.
under a rock and a hard place, and literally while that's going on, you've been thrown under the bus. You're
Under the
taking you
rock
to the
and under
pinch
the
of
bus.
salt and adding salt to the injury.
But let me ask you this, because most of you artists, like you and Chris, like now when you talk, you've been through the same experiences and you're going through the same things. So what's the support system like for you people together? Like, how come there's no brotherhood? Like, just
That's what we have.
No,
That's
you
our
have
support
it, but then like you don't really have it.
I like that question.
You about to go in.
Can I do this?
You can.
So we're talking about, it boils back to the basic unit of society, family.
Family, yes.
We're talking about bond, you know. So if we've been brought up in a culture that, especially Kenya in general, in Nairobi, there's a huge identity crisis. Yeah? You can't find your identity. I tried looking for my identity in my traditional culture. But that got me in a deeper hole. Because if you think about generations in Africa, there's just a lot.
To deal with in terms of tradition.
Lot
Yeah.
that have cycles that have gone down generations to generations. And I was like, I know, no. Because this side, of course, my folks have their issues.
Yeah.
And their folks had issues. And you think
Generational
of
curses.
Yes.
So when you think about polygamy, for
Yes.
instance, many guys think that that's the solution,
No.
but that's the cause of even most of the problems.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And
Yes.
these are the real facts. So at that point, when I was just about leaving, no, by the agency, you know when you're being told, "Akufukuzaya kwambi."
Kutoka.
So
You're
one of
just
my
not being paid. You're just
No. In fact, the issue wasn't money, but then there was also the lack of financial discipline because there's no one to mentor you with the money that you're
Okay. No one is telling you to tithe. No one is telling you.
No one is telling you,
No one is telling you anything.
Me, Kwanzaa, I got to hear of the word tithe in 2014 when I accepted salvation. And since then, I've never looked back because it's a principle
That works.
you know? So, by the time I was told, I'm sorry, we've realized that copywriting is no longer your forte. I was told that, and at that time I was in debt. I was in arrears.
You're told by Mwindi.
Yes, see, of
Like-
course, our MD.
Like he told
at
you like
then.
that. Like in that same tone.
And this was because of a job. But anyway, it was just time I'd left. I really don't want to blame anyone. The seasons had just changed.
It was about time.
It was about time. And at that time, God was calling me literally. Because even when I was leaving agency, I was like, God, so you're the one who gave me this job. I cried to you, you gave me this job. Now what are you saying? And the Holy Spirit clearly told me, it's time for you to build your relationship with your Creator.
Wow.
BIGPINsradius.